Godzilla Minus One is not only one of the best monster movies, it's one of the best movies of 2023, period. In my personal opinion, of course. Godzilla Minus One is not part of the Godzilla Kong Monsterverse. It's an original Godzilla movie from the OG source, Toho in Japan. So yes, Americans, that means you're gonna be reading subtitles, but I definitely think it's worth it. Because this movie is filled with action, drama, horror, and heart. And what makes this movie work so well is not only am I invested in the Godzilla monster attacks, but I'm also invested in the human characters as well, which makes this movie entertaining whether Godzilla is on or off screen. Usually in Godzilla movies, I'm all like, Godzilla, tear it up, destroy everything. That's what I came here for. But the human characters in this movie are so entertaining, engaging, interesting, well-developed, and Godzilla is so mean in this that this is one of the few times where I'm like, you know what, humans, I'm on your side. Take Godzilla down. Y'all gone through too much. You deserve this. The movie takes place in Japan after World War II, so of course you see the repercussions of that, and we especially see it with our main character fighting with survivor's guilt. This movie takes the time to craft the nuance and complexities of our main protagonist and his survivor's guilt with both the war and Godzilla. That combined with the motives and the personalities of all the supporting characters around him makes all the human characters very engaging, which means that when the Godzilla related things start to happen to them, I'm more invested because I now have a connection with these people. Because the human moments are emotional by themselves, it makes them more intense and emotional when Godzilla shows up. As much as I enjoy the American Godzilla movies, and I do enjoy them, Godzilla vs. Kong, wow. The criticism I've always had with those movies is I don't feel like they flesh the human characters enough for me to care a lot about them, so I don't really think about them one way or the other when Godzilla or Kong or whoever shows up. In this movie, I feel like that's the key element they got right. They made me invested in the human characters, so I care about them so much that when Godzilla shows up, I don't want Godzilla to hurt them, but he does sometimes, and it's still entertaining when he does, but I feel a little bit more hurt when it happens. This is one of the scariest Godzillas I have ever seen. The reason why this movie is so good with Godzilla is because they don't treat him like a monster movie, they treat him like a horror movie. Godzilla is not Kong or Gamera in this movie. Godzilla is Jason, he is Freddy, he is Michael Myers. Godzilla is so scary, I was expecting him to make a phone call to somebody and be like, hello, do you like monster movies? The movie does a great job in making you feel his presence even before he shows up. Like just the build up to him arriving is scary in itself. The way people get all freaked out, or the way you see water moving, or you just feel that he's about to show. Ooh, it's so good. And he does that classic horror movie thing where it's like, oh, you think he's down? Oh, you think you got me? You ain't got me. Bum, 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 bum. All that build up is a build up that works well, that when he finally shows up on screen, whenever he shows up, it's like, damn, Godzilla is here. And if you're looking for that classic Godzilla song, there's one time he shows up and they do the absolute perfect needle drop. Like as soon as that leg pops out, bump, 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 bump. I'm like, oh, Godzilla, I know you about to tear shit up, but I'm glad you're here. Godzilla also looks really good in this movie. This movie apparently only has a budget of under 15 million, but I'm just saying, CG Godzilla in this movie looks better than some $100 million, $200 million CG movies we've seen. He's CG and motion capture. I actually saw in the credits that Square Enix is one of the companies behind creating Godzilla in this one. Does that mean that Godzilla's gonna be in Kingdom Hearts? we gonna have Godzilla in Final Fantasy. Cloud Sora, take on Godzilla. Godzilla versus Sephiroth. Let's see it. Let's make it happen. Godzilla is CG in this, but he still kind of has the build of a guy in a rubber suit, but now with the movement of a monster. So I thought that was a really neat way to simultaneously make him feel modern and retro in this at the same time. In this movie, they make you feel the destruction. Like for example, there are times when you see Godzilla stomping down and they make it very clear that when his foot comes down, people get squished. I know they've shown that before, but sometimes our monster movies like to act like, oh, the town got evacuated enough, so not that many people are hurt. Or they'll shoot very wide so you don't see people get hurt. But this one had no problem showing you a crowd of people and then a giant Godzilla foot close up coming down in the crowd, and coming up, you don't see as many people when the foot come up. So, you know, do the math. Some people are down there. And when that atomic breath hits, woo boy, damn. What's cool is that early on when he uses the atomic breath, they don't really show too much of the buildup, they just show it happening. But there's the money shot. There's the moment when they really show you how them scales come up and start glowing before he lets it out. And when he lets it out, you feel it. You feel it if you're close to the atomic blast, and you also feel it if you're a good enough distance away, because not only does that blast hit, but like an impact happens and you start seeing buildings, windows breaking, people flying in the air. You're like, dang, it really shows how hardcore that attack is. He can only use it so many times. You gotta charge back up when he does it, but when he does it, get out the way. And this Godzilla is just mean. He is just mean. And the movie makes you feel it, because the first half of the movie, they keep talking about how, man, things are bad after the war, so we gotta rebuild. So we're gonna take this one city and we're gonna rebuild it hardcore. We're gonna put all these new buildings there. We're gonna make all these jobs. It's gonna be a new future. Everyone wants to go in that town to work. Everyone's getting jobs there. Everyone's starting to feel like things are normal again. It's beautiful. The movie builds up this town for the first half of the movie so much of how good it's gonna be to get through the heartbreak of going through that war. And then Godzilla just rolls up and they're like, this is a nice town y'all put together here. It's too bad I'm gonna destroy it. Bam, 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 boom, boom, roar, smash building, knock down people, stomp on people, atomic breath. Oh, didn't I see you on that island early on in the movie? I'm here again, buddy. Guess you're just gonna really keep running into me. The main character and Godzilla got beef, y'all. Every time this dude is trying to have a good life, Godzilla shows up and goes, let me mess your life up one more time. This is personal. There's a lot of talks about politics and government in this. The Japanese government is like, look, we just went through a war. We try to act like we all good again. So we can't be running around talking about we now got a monster walking about. So we just gonna try to keep this on the hush hush. I don't know how you keep a giant monster on the hush hush, but they tried to do it. The people gotta take it on their own. And connecting that with the challenges of the main character, it really starts a lot of discussions about the value of one person's life, both with their own life and how their life is connected to others, particularly in situations like war or family or friends or love or monster attacks. But don't worry, the movie is not all gloom and doom. There's actually some very fun and humorous moments here and there. There's some fun characters here and there. The action, of course, is entertaining to watch. And even the drama in this movie is more classic movie theater cinema drama than deep, dark, depressing drama, with the only exception being understanding the casualties of war, or in this case, war and Godzilla attacks. But even that is played more as drama for the sake of entertainment than to really make you feel sad. But you can definitely come out with some thoughts about things in reality in relationship to this movie. Overall, this movie obviously knows that people are coming for the spectacle of Godzilla, but it also knows that if you can get an ounce of compassion from the audience for the human characters and the situation at hand, it only makes Godzilla's presence and attacks stronger in the film. And it also makes the successes or failures fighting Godzilla even more impactful. And this movie doesn't try to change the formula. It doesn't try to subvert expectations. Movie buffs are probably going to see certain things coming a mile away, but the movie doesn't seem to care about that. It seems to go, let's take the classic movie cinema formula and make the best entertaining version of that we can possibly do with this Godzilla movie. And in my personal opinion, I think it more than succeeded. For me, watching this movie in theaters today gave me the exact vibes of watching a movie like this in theaters back in the day. No predictions, no expectations, no theories, just going in, having hardly any idea what the movie was going to be about or what was going to happen, and just letting it entertain me and being thoroughly entertained all the way through with its filmmaking, its world building, its characters, and its story. Add to that the wonderful performances to knock it out the park. Godzilla Minus One was only supposed to have a limited run in American theaters, but it's been so successful that they've been extending that run, so it's possible to still see it in theaters, and I would definitely check it out if you can. It's so good. But even if you don't see it in theaters, I still highly recommend seeing it at some point. And there's also talks about releasing a black and white version in Japan in 2024. I really hope that comes to the United States as well. I will see this again in black and white. I will see this again in color. I will see this again. I love Godzilla Minus One. Great movie.